All right, guys, we're back with Block 5, Topic 2, Lesson 2, using equivalence to compare fractions. So let's go ahead and look at that example that they have started off for us here. We're going to look at our strategy. We're going to try to get a common denominator, a little bit of what we worked on in the last lesson. So we're going to list multiples of each denominator. The multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and so on. Multiples of 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Remember, multiples is the same as skip counting, so skip counting by 6s or skip counting by 10s. Then we're going to rename our fractions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took 5 multiples of 6 to get a common multiple with 10, and it took 1, 2, 3 common multiples of 10. So that's why we take the 6 and the 5, multiply them both by 5, so we can get that common denominator 30. Multiply the 10 and the 7 by 3, so we can get that common denominator of 30. So now we have an easier way to compare our fractions using that common denominator. Remember, when we have common denominators, the pieces are the same size, so we just have to compare the number of pieces. Since 25 is greater than 21, we know that the original fraction, 5/6, is going to be greater than the original fraction, 7/10. All right, let's work out a few on our own. So our strategy is going to be common denominator. That's our goal today, is to get common denominators. So we need multiples of each denominator, multiples of 8 and multiples of 12. So we have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and so on. We'll see if we need any more. Multiples of 12, we've got 12, 24. I could go on and list more, but I've already listed one that's up above. So we'll just go ahead and circle 24. So let's rename our fractions. So for 3/8, it took 1, 2, 3 multiples to get to 24. So I'm going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 3. And we get 9/24. For 12, it took 1, 2 multiples to get to 24. So for the fraction 5/12, we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. And we get 10/24. Now here's the important part. We need to compare them in the original order that they were being compared above. Okay, so 3/8 became 9/24. 5/12 became 10/24. 9/24 is less than 10/24. Again, they've got the common denominator, so we compare pieces. 9 is less than 10, which means that 3/8 is less than 5/12. So we can go ahead and put in our answer, less than. Okay, let's look at another example here. We're going to use the same strategy, guys. Common denominator all day today. Common denominator. So we need multiples of 3 and multiples of 5. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and so on. Multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15. Might as well stop because we've got a common multiple in each list. So for 2/3, we had to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiples to get to 15. So we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 5. For 3/5, we needed 1, 2, 3 multiples. So for 3/5, we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. So we have 10/15 compared to 9/15 because we want to stay in that same order. Okay, 2/3 became 10/15. 3/5 became 9/15. So if we compare them in the same order, we'll be in good shape. 10 is greater than 9. Since they have the same size pieces, we just compare the number of pieces. So since 10/15 is greater than 9/15, we know that 2/3 is going to be greater than 3/5. So we can put our symbol in greater than. All right, let's work a few more practice problems out here. Okay, so we have 3/8 and 1/3. So the multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. we'll stop right there just because we're getting pretty big and 3 is a small number to start off with. So for the number 3, we will have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. We still don't have a match yet, so we'll keep going. 21, 24. There's our match, 24. Okay. For 3/8, it took 1, 2, 3 multiples to get the 8 to the common denominator. So we'll take 3/8 and multiply both parts by 3, and we get 9/24. I'm going to do this one a little bit backwards just to kind of make it a little easier for us to compare, and you'll see why in here in just a second. For 1/3, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 multiples to get the 3 to have the common denominator. So I'm going to multiply both of them by 8, and that is going to give us 8/24. Notice how I got everything lined up on top of each other, so it's going to be really easy to compare. 9/24 is going to be greater than 8/24, so we know our answer is greater than. Okay. Let's look at 3/4, multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and so on. Multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12, and we'll stop right there because we found that common multiple for each one of them. Since we found that common multiple, 12 is going to be our denominator. So for 3/4, it took 1, 2, 3 multiples to get to 12, so I multiply numerator and denominator by 3. Remember in the other lesson, the other day, we saw that you had to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same thing to keep those fractions equivalent. So we have the fraction 9/12. For 2/3, it took 1, 2, 3, 4 multiples. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 4, and we get 8/12. Again, with our common denominator strategy, since the denominators are the same, that means the pieces are the same size. So we're looking at the number of pieces. 9 of the 12th pieces is greater than 8 of the 12th pieces. So that means 3/4 is going to be greater than 2/3. Okay. Let's jump over here to numbers 4 and 6, because here's an interesting situation. Notice that 10 is a multiple of 5. If I start off with 5, I go 5, 10. I get a multiple that is the other denominator. So really, we only need to change one fraction here. And it took 2 multiples to get to that common denominator. So for 3/5, we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2, and we get 6/10. You can just rewrite it down below if it helps you out, so that way you have something to compare instead of trying to look all over the place. 6/10, how does that compare to 7/10? Well, 6 is less than 7, so that means 3/5 is going to be less than 7/10. Let's do one more here. 7/9 and 2/3. Again, we notice that 9 is a multiple of 3. So the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9. There it is. 1, 2, 3 multiples to get to 9. So I'm just going to recopy 7/9. And 2/3, since it took 3 multiples to get to that same denominator. I'm going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 3, and we end up with 6/9. Since we have that same denominator, remember even back in topic 1, our strategy is to compare the numerators then. 7 is greater than 6, so 7/9 is going to be greater than 2/9. Okay? So find that common multiple. Use your multiples of each denominator to find that common multiple. However many multiples it takes to get to that common multiple, that's what you're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by. 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay. All right, so now I want you to go ahead and do your exit ticket. Guys, remember on your exit ticket, you work the problem out just like we work the practice problems together, okay? If you can think of another strategy to use, that would be fine. Some of the other strategies we've had were common numerators. We've used benchmarks. We've had common denominators. We've had unit fractions. Well, we're using common denominator here today, so you don't want to use that. So think of something different. Remember, sometimes you want to think about checking out the thought bubble and going from there, giving you some ideas of what you might be able to use. Now notice, it says, could you use another strategy? They're not asking you to rework it. They're asking you to work the problem out once and ask you to think about it. Is there another way you could work this problem out? And then explain why you could do that. Okay? All right, guys, go ahead and get this exit ticket done, get the picture taken and uploaded, and then check in to see what to do next. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck.